see me in the morning.
We have,
I'll stop and see you in the morning. Tomorrow I'm ready to see you. So you understand how many people stuff we only have time in there. I was waiting over this bank.
Well, this is not computer.
Right.
If you ever have computer, but we did
Town takes ballots.
it's passed.
Yes, I know.
But it's still on the wall balance.
Totally threw me off the first time.
Nobody wants to.
Maybe the first one.
Actually, we have a meeting. We can count on.
So how do you think Kathy went today?
I can wait until 8:30 to start getting the refresh.
I mentioned that. I just want to see the numbers roll.
Close. 1,000.
You're holding. I don't know if there's no fiscal council or not. I just hope no people dump that library garbage. I don't care. Well, I'm like my cousin said, people want to donate the library, go take your money down here, donate it.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to the Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016 Valley City Council meeting. Would you please stand for the invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, I would like to thank you on behalf of all who have gathered here this evening at the Belding City Council meeting. Please help and support us in making fair and honorable decisions as a council as we bring unity to the city of Belding. We'd like to thank the support of the Belding City staff, the city manager, our fellow board members, and the city council. And we hope that we have unity in moving forward as a city. Mostly, I'd like to pray that we have support to allow us to work in harmony this evening, that we may have, even though we may have honest disagreement, that we all end up going in the same direction. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, please get the roll.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Scheid.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Gunderson.
Here.
Councilmember Keenan.
All present. Next, we'll move into the approval of the agenda. We have a motion and a second, bring this to the floor.
So moved. Support.
Supported.
Reluctantly.
Once I vote for mine.
Is there any additions or?
I'd like to add under new business B, formal discussion of the residence requirements for commissions and building. I would like to make a motion in relation to this, but I think we need some discussion first.
We would have that in A, but we can add that to it. Say that again, please.
Under new business B, the discussion for members of revolving boards and commissions. I just feel it's more appropriate if we make a motion that it would take place at that point, rather than under a work session.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Shai,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Gunderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Feehan,
Yes.
Councilmember Miller.
Yes.
Thank you.
Agenda approved as amended, 5-0. Next, move into our guest tonight, which is Robert Brown, representing the Friends of Fredmeyer River Valley Rail Trails.
Technology, right?
We weren't ready.
Sure you want, I got that for you. Okay, there we go, no problem. Okay, as the mayor alluded to, my name is Robert Brown, I'm the chairman of the Friends of the Fredmeyer River Valley Rail Trails. To make this meeting go shorter, I'm going to refer to us as the Friends Group. With me today, I have two board members. I have George Raymer off to the side here. I have Mark Fritzma. Both have been with the group 7 years plus. So almost since its inception. Our organization was formed in 2010 with the purpose of establishing the trail corridor, which we call the Rail Trail. This was an offshoot of the Friends of the Fredmeyer Heartland Trail, which is the Greenbelt Trail. From there, we spawned out and we picked up a section, and then CIS, Clinton Iowa Shiawassee, picked up another section, which I'll cover later. Our organization is a 501(c)(3). We're a volunteer-based organization. We'll get more to that with our funding. Our board is comprised of 7 members. We have 2 representatives from each county, with the exception of Ionia, which picks up an additional member. That's mainly because Ionia County consists of most of the trail area. So, we have 38 miles of trail. We stretch from Fair Plains, or 57 in Greenbelt, and we go to just the outskirts of Lowell. And then the Lowell Area Recreational Authority picks up, and Lowell gets us through Lowell, and we pick up on the outside of Grand River, and then into Saranac, and then Saranac into Ionia. So we end up Prairie Creek. So quite a few miles to pick up on. Quick run of our boards, we'll cover that. So our mission statement is kind of threefold. One, we want to provide safe environment for recreation. We want environmental stewardship, and another point that we try to make sure we cover is to help communities with their economic recoveries or strengthen what they have. So far in our mission, we've been able to accomplish a lot of that, especially when it comes to environmental. We've been able to work with the DNR and the DEQ. I'll cover that a little later, but I'm trying to keep it under 10 minutes, make it life easy for you. So the whole trail network is known as the Fredmeyer Mid-Michigan Trail Network. It stretches about 125 miles. And it's divided with 3 friends groups that kind of are the guardians of these sections. The Heartland Trail, which we all know in Greenbelt, runs Greenbelt up into Elma. It's a beautiful section of trail, most of it, I believe all of it is paved. It's roughly 40 miles that they have up there. Our other sister organizations, what we call the CIS, the Clinton Ionia Shiawassee, that picks up in Ionia outside Prairie Creek and runs it into Owasso. Most of that is crushed limestone, that hard surface that we see on the outside of town going out towards Long Lake. There's a little patch of it there. Very bike friendly, very safe for children to pass on. And then of course we have our friends group, which we're known as the River Valley Rail Trails, because we have 2 rivers that we cover. We have the Flat River area and we have the Grand River Valley area. Moving on from there. So, one of the best things that we have in this community is this belief that our trails are owned and operated and maintained by the city. That speaks to the amount of cooperation we have with our municipalities. The trails are actually owned by the Michigan Department of Transportation. It is a transportation corridor. Unfortunately, or fortunately, MDOT folks are really good at roads and really poor at trails. So what they did is they listed the DNR as a leasee. So the DNR leases the trails. And then the Midwest Michigan Trail Authority was created to kind of oversee the 3 trail groups, in addition to the Meyer Foundation endowment, which helps us maintain our trails, which is roughly $3 million. So, our case for our trail, it is owned by MDOT, and then the DNR has pretty much authority over from there. Then it's delegated onto the Friends groups. So our trail funding primarily comes out of the Meyer endowment. It's a $3 million endowment that was given. The Midwest Michigan Trail Authority oversees that money. We ask for maintenance, such as mowing. I think anything else we ask for besides maintenance, really? I think that's really about it. Outside of that, we have grants which help us purchase other things, such as our benches that we see, picnic tables. If we do a trailhead, normally it's in partnership with the community, we'll invest with some of that. And then community memberships, individual memberships, which is a huge part of us having the liquidity we need to leverage other funds. So the benefits of the trails are kind of obvious. I won't get into them. Basically, what we aim to do is we want to encourage recreation. We want to encourage healthy living lifestyles. We want to bring people into communities. If they're in a car, they're less likely to stop into a store than when they walk by one. So we want to make sure that we work with our local businesses, entice us for exercise, of course, and it's beautiful. And the other component is we work very diligently with other governmental entities to ensure that the environment, so we're very good stewards of our environment. We coordinate the DNR, we coordinate with the Department of Water Quality, all things that we look at. So currently we have 3 separate sets of trails. We have an undeveloped trail or unapproved and improved. This is what we see out on Long Lake heading towards Greenbell or the 44 Bridge looking into Smyrna. Not very friendly, it's the original railroad ballast still out there. Wouldn't encourage too much walking. Opposite of that, we have our improved sections. Belding, we have a little bit of both. Mostly we have the improved on the left, which is our paved asphalt. And then on the right, we have the crushed limestone surface, just a little bit out towards Long Lake. So some of the features we're looking at coordinating with the DNR currently to come up with are what we call our edible alleys and our edible arbors. The Belding Gardening Club has been contacted and they've shown interest in working with us and partnering with us. So we'll grow vegetation that can be edible along the trail corridor. This won't be an extensive amount. This will be just a little area that you can walk through and pick a strawberry or tomato or whatever they happen to put up there. The opposite side of that's the edible arbors, so we're talking apple trees for the most part. So those are all developments we're still partnering with communities to come up with funding for volunteer resources. One of the draws to our trail is we do maintain an ADA compliant trail. You're not going to have anything really steep to have to try to tackle. If there are restroom facilities like the one we have out here, the one I'm showing a picture, that's an ADA wheelchair compliant restroom. It's a porta-john, it's huge, it looks like 8'4" of its brothers, but they're awesome to have on the trail. Our trail can be accessed by wheelchair. Clearly asphalt is preference, but you can definitely make it on the crushed limestone with no problems. So one of the assets the community does, what we do is beside bringing people in, we also we have events that run it. So we encourage events to come in, running time races. There's a lot of times we'll have nonprofits like New County Mental Health that are run recently for a fundraiser. It's a point of pride for a community to have a trail, and we want to make sure we maintain that trail to the standards that community needs. So recently we issued a survey with our trail group. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but we're starting to understand where our trail group demographics are, which helps us tell who's using our trail and who's not using our trail, so we know where to target and why. The Pokemon craze is definitely helping the trail use a little bit. We see a lot of kids out with their phones chasing down something. Hopefully they get it. And then the other side, as I talked about, is the economic. So here we were asking the people surveyed when they're on our trail, what are they most likely to buy when they're there? Beverages was number 1, followed by ice cream, obviously candies, and the restaurants, not so much, and that's because most of our trail isn't connected into a community that has a restaurant. The blue markers is Belding, the green is for the total trail. So they're running about on par except for the restaurants, and Ione kind of broke the mold down there. They have more paved than we have here, and a little bit more restaurants. So for spending, so on a daily visit we find that about 50% of Belding users will spend between $1 and $10 when they enter an establishment. And that drops down a little bit to just over 25, about 30% for about 11 to 25, and then it weeds out there till it gets to the very end, which is pretty much the Ione area where they spend $51 for a meal. So we can see, we can track progress, but we are bringing in an economic benefit to the communities that we serve. And if you guys really want to get bored, we can pull out the property information and see how property values change when a trail connects into your city or connects to your property. So far, our foundation for success has been our memberships, as I talked about. We have George here and Mark here, both have dedicated numerous hours to the trail. We partner with non-governmental agencies like the gardening clubs, biking clubs, other groups that we have out there available to us, corporate sponsorships, and obviously our municipal partners. In Belding, we see that partnership excel, where Belding is very accommodating to help us on trail where we need assistance at times. And then in the near future, we'll be removing a log jam that you guys may have seen stack up by the bridge number 2 we refer to over by the VFW. So those logs, we actually just got permission by the department, DEQ, to get them removed after 4 months of a permitting process. So we'll be cleaning that up with the assistance of, I believe the city will be in with that. Synergy is a concept where we all work together to do something better than ourselves. And I'm not going to read that whole thing, but for a government agency, a lot of that has to do with land use and how you guys do your planning, which we'll talk about the local community really briefly later on. But by working with trail groups and allowing us to be part of the planning process, we can ensure safe access on our trails and safe access off our trails, which we refer to as portals. The big question's been lately is when we're going to see progress to connect the rest of the trails. And from what we can tell from all our estimates, fingers crossed we work hard enough, we're looking at 2018 to be able to start completing the trail system from Belding into Lowell, Belding up to Greenville, and then Lowell to Saranac. A good chunk of that is out of our hands with other agencies like the DNR, and some of that is in our hands with our fundraising capabilities. As you guys know as council members, dealing with grants, you raise $1, you can leverage about 20. So membership's a huge thing for us right now. So the resolution we have in front of you tonight is a walkable community resolution. What we're asking for is every community, township, village, county, city along our trail system adopt this in support of us. Basically what we want to do is use this for our major grant writing tool to finish the trail. And basically what it is saying that you guys support a walkable community philosophy, or you support our philosophy, that you recognize it has economic value, it has health value, it has recreational value. In addition to that, like I said, we want to talk about safe access points into our trail. Right now in the city of Belding, we have maybe one key spot we can get in, get off. The rest of it's still not identified. A lot of that's on our side. We have to do signage. But there's some points where the city can help us identify to promote people to get downtown versus kind of straddling us on the outside. So Water Street, Front Street, having indications where the businesses are at. Again. So it also promotes the local businesses, it attracts tourists. We did a survey with that, and we found a lot of out-of-state people come to our trail. There's going to be an exterior run that comes up on the 28th, and I just talked to the organizer. Most of their runners are out of the area, and they'll be working on our Grand River Valley Trail, which is in the Army segment. And then recently we secured a running group that will be doing a time race at Saranac, Wyoming. So we're starting to bring in groups, and as Belding's trail extends beyond the 2.23 miles, we'll see more activities we'll be able to bring into the Belding area. The walkable community is what we'll use. Communities that adopt it help us identify where we're going to strategically spend our money and where we're going to make our major investments, because we want to work with communities that are going to support a walkable community. With that, so to join us on this adventure, obviously the first step we ask for the council tonight is to adopt the walkable community resolution in support of us. As I talked before, memberships with our organization are extremely cheap. It's nearly a whopping $10, but with that we can leverage about 50. And then we'll have people here after the end of the meetings and sign people up if they'd like to, or ask any questions to the trail group on where we're going. And that's all I have if you don't have any further questions.
Any questions for council?
No, nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. Next one, we'll move into public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on any agenda item, please step to the podium, name and address. If you would, for the record, please, you'll have 3 minutes.
Anita Steele, 528 Ionia. I know we're ending with a work session that just got moved up, so I thought I would start.
You're scheduled to discuss the residency requirement for members of building boards and commissions. From the National Conference of the State Legislators, at a fundamental level of our political system, it is predicated on the idea that voters' rights are properly limited to the communities in which a voter belongs, and a way of determining that is residency. The boards of building are part of the governance of building. Each of them has their own rules and makeup. Currently, you have 2 board members on the recreation board that do not meet the ordinance and charter. The ordinance creates this board and says that it must be in compliance with the charter. I'm often asked if I follow the chain of command, which led me to attending the rec board meeting, and as a resident, felt I very politely and respectfully asked the 2 who are not residents to please respect our laws and resign. I understand this did not happen, and now you have a work session to consider changing it. The May minutes of the rec board had the discussion of the 2 members. Manager Brown said there was questions about Mr. McNeil continuing on the recreation board since he now lives in Greenville. He is helping us with our recreation program, and he is clearly okay to continue on this board. Board member Carlson said she is in a similar situation and that she does not reside in the city, but was born and raised here. Manager Brown said he did not see much of a difference between a resident or owning a business here or paying taxes or employing people. Manager Brown said we are blessed to have them. A difference is not seen for a non-resident, though, when they're going to get a ballot to try and sit in your seats, because I understand that one that was not a resident was not given an application. Number one, that he is helping us. Actually, he has a contract with the City of Belding and is now our recreational coordinator. That contract pays his company for services rendered, and that service includes attending the rec board. I have an objection with that, even if he was a resident. Should the criteria be if you were born at the Belding Hospital, brought home from a hospital to a house in Belding, spend any of your 0 to 18 years in Belding, work inside the city limits, own a business inside the city limits with or without paying property taxes, employ any resident in Belding, or a landowner that pays property taxes? No, being a resident is simply being a resident. One of the arguments mentioned for not following the rules or wanting to change the rules is no one applied for the planning commission. A planning commission seat is much different than a recreation board seat or any of the other ones. The argument also does not take into account that the city practice is if the person in the seat wishes to remain there, it is not posted, you do not go on request for applicants, you simply draw up a resolution that says the person wishes to stay and reappoint them. As of today, right on the website, the only position open in this city on any board is the ZBA for an alternate.
Your
Yes.
time is up, I will allow you to continue.
I was gonna say that the one with that. I knew I was at 3 minutes, 39 seconds. Is anyone so important, so skilled, so enhanced that any resident cannot do the position? Should they be that important that we change our rules to be part of the government of Belding? I am asking that you terminate those positions and select citizens of Belding. I am also asking that you stop trying to change the definitions to suit a particular agenda and not go along with the concept of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you. There's my 30 seconds.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll close public comment on agenda items. Next, move in the consent agenda. I have 3 items. Can the motion and second to bring this to the floor?
So move. Support.
Any separation? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Feehan?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shiner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Consent agenda passed 5-0. Next, move into council liaison reports. Doug, we'll start with you.
I met with the museum board about something I haven't, that is, they've got their building updated, they've got their painting done, washes repaired, building been power washed. It looks really nice, if you get a chance to, that might take a look. Also, same manager's working with us, with the museum board, updating our parking area out back. And that's about what I have. And the Labor Day committee, apparently
much to report. Our next meeting is on the 18th, so we look forward to that. So.
I missed the last meeting, I was 3 hours out of town, and no way to get back.
We had no planning commission meeting, lack of agenda items. As far as I know, we will have one this month, end of the month.
Library board, bills are paid, they are working on the policies, they're moving forward on those. The final draft policy is going back to the lawyer for his review. Great turnout for the summer reading program for the adults and also the young kids. It's been a very good success this summer for them. So other than that, I have nothing else. There is a DDA meeting this Thursday at noon here at the depot. So we have no unfinished business. Moving into new business, we have item A, which is Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trails Walkable Community Resolution. Shelley, can I get you to read that, please?
City of Valding Resolution Number 2016-08-48. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Valding supporting the Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trail Walkable Community.
Thank you. Motion and second, bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Support.
Bruce, do you have anything to add to this? I'd like to read this. What this resolution is, it's a following preamble to the resolution that was offered to the City Council Valding today is August 2nd. The following preamble as I spoke. Whereas the Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trail and are guardians of 38 miles of developed and undeveloped rail trail spanning 3 counties, and whereas the Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trail pride itself in a safe and accessible trail for children, families, seniors, and individuals with disabilities, and whereas First Lady Michelle Obama has encouraged the nation to become physically active through their Let's Move initiative, and whereas numerous studies have proven that communities that are walkable tend to be safer, higher quality, and life satisfaction, promote community, and have higher property values, and whereas walking reduces traffic congestion, air pollution, demand for parking, demand for oil, and contributions of physical fitness, while reduces stress and obesity, and whereas the Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trail encourages communities to build and maintain pathways and sidewalks which connect the trails and businesses governing the buildings and recreational areas, and whereas the trail seeks to promote, support, and local businesses, attract new businesses and developers, and whereas the Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trail supports walkable communities and strive to do just 2 feet away from everything, and therefore be the resolution that the City of Valding support the Friends of the Fred Meyer River Valley Rail Trail with encouragement and supporting communities who adopt and maintain a walkable community philosophy and promoting walking communities on websites, social media, and print publications. We'll make it a little bit longer next time. So, is there any discussion? Brad, we'll start with you.
No, I think it's a great opportunity, and I support what you're doing. I think it is exactly what Fred would have loved, having known him at one point. So I think it would be great for the community and bring additional people and business here. So.
It gives the community members another outlet to be able to get out there and do some exercise and stuff, because we've always had to use the streets around town and stuff. That's not always real safe. I think you have to watch for now is crossings on the trail and stuff. And I've seen a lot of people out there using it. And every place I go throughout the state, there's these trails, and there's always somebody on them. If the weather's good, I even see people on there in the winter when the weather's not so good. Yeah, it's a good deal.
Thank you, Tom.
I'd just like to say I appreciate Robert and all the other ones involved in this, and I heard your name was left off there, Ron. I know you've been deeply involved in this program and helping clean up trails and cut trees that fall on it.
I gave him an extra membership so he wouldn't bring me out.
But I'd just like to thank all you people that are involved Fred Meyer River Valley Trails. It's a great program, and it shows your dedication to the project. And hopefully you and we can all get the rest of the trails connected to Greenville and Lowell and get out and use them.
This is a great thing, and it's nice that someplace can walk, that's safe, and other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for all their work on that.
A little history, as Robert said, this has started way back when, and it started before the River Valley Rail Trail was even named. This has been quite a progression and where we're at today and moving forward, and hopefully in the near future we'll get some more answers so we can give, more, I guess, firmer dates on when we can complete the trails. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for making me read that long proclamation. So, if there are no further questions, I'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Gunderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Feehan?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Yes.
Councilmember Shai?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item A under new business passed 5-0. Next one was into item B, which is a discussion concerning the residency requirements of members of the building boards and commissions, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Motion and second, bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Support.
Why don't we do this? Why don't I turn this over to Bruce to give his report, if you don't mind. Why don't you go ahead and give your report?
Okay. As you know, an issue has recently arisen concerning the appointment of non-residents to building boards and commissions. While the current focus is on 2 members of the Recreation Advisory Committee, at least 8 non-residents are serving on city boards and commissions. They are by and large leaders of the boards they serve, faithful attendees of meetings, and focused on generally what is good for the city. It is clear, however, that the city charter requires that people who are named to boards or commissions must be residents for at least 1 year before their appointment. We should have no misgivings that this is a law under which we are currently operating. It does not appear that there is a way to circumvent this requirement, nor should we seek to do so. Belding is a small town and faces an ongoing battle of recruiting qualified candidates to fill these positions. It appears that previous city councils, for reasons that were evident at that time, felt that appointing certain non-residents to boards and commissions was justified in the big scheme of things. I suspect that many were city residents at the time of their appointment, but their situation has changed over time. Because of the recent challenge, the city council finds itself in an uncomfortable position of either upholding the requirements of the city charter or appointing people in violation of the city charter that have an overriding interest in the city and the skill sets to significantly contribute to its development. I feel that the city council should take a position that supports the city charter. I would hope, however, that we would resist pressure to immediately expel non-residents from boards and commissions until such time as we have clearly identified a strategy for going forward. I would recommend the following. Number 1, that we declare to the citizens of Belding that we understand that there are appointments in the short term that violate the charter on occasion, but we feel that historical precedents set by previous city councils represent a wise and sustainable process that benefits the city. Number 2, that we intend to seek the approval of the community through a charter amendment process that would enable us to appoint certain non-residents to boards and commissions when the candidates in question have demonstrated and have a vested interest in the future development of our city. It seems to me that those who drafted the Downtown Development Authority Act had it right when they permitted the appointment of non-resident members who have a personal or corporate interest in the downtown area. It makes no sense to me to deny in city affairs those who have invested in our community and who provide taxes and employment the opportunity to have input in the decisions that very well may impact their livelihood and that of their employees. Number three, that may indicate until a decision is made for or against the charter amendment by our electorate that we reappoint non-residents to our boards and commissions on a case-by-case basis. We will not appoint non-residents to new positions that become available during that period. If the voters reject a charter amendment, non-residents serving on the boards and commissions will be allowed to complete their current term but will not be reappointed. The Home Rule Act, for your information, provides for two ways to amend the charter. One is a revision in which the entire charter itself is under study, and the other is an amendment in which one item is under study. This very clearly would be an amendment. There is a series of steps that are required to go through that I have provided you with that information. It is, however, silent on what process the City Council might use to reach the language that would be presented to the Governor for approval. I think either the City Council would act on its own behalf, or you may want to look to the community for some assistance in providing the language. So that's my report, and good luck on your discussion.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, Tom, we're going to start out with you and get some discussion going. You added this item, so it follows back, kind of like, you know, if you don't show up for a meeting, you get volunteers.
And I appreciate what Benita pointed out tonight. I don't know the original intent in '64 when the original charter was adopted. Surprisingly, I was still in high school that time. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. A lot of things have been changed. We used to require residency for city managers and department heads and workers themselves, and we can't do that anymore. Commissions and such haven't been ruled upon by courts whether you can or can't have a residency requirement. But I think since '64, our community, although we still have the boundaries of the city of Belding, we've become more involved with the Otisco Township and the surrounding communities. We have people that live in those communities that take an active interest in the city. Some have lived here in the past, some are just residents out there. I think, or I feel that the city should ask for a charter amendment to allow non-residents on the city council. And I think as much as we sometimes, as a council or myself, would like to shrug it off onto another committee, I think it's really our duty to make that decision, whether we're going to go after a charter amendment or not. And I think we need to just take the bull by the horns, ask for the charter amendment, and the voters make the final ruling in the community. And if they vote it down, want to leave it the way it is, so be it. If there's enough people that think that it's a good idea to have other community members from other areas sitting on our council. I've gone through it on a couple of the commissions I've been on. We aren't getting people in town that want to be involved in it. But we do have people in the community which is more than just the city of Belding, that are involved with this, with the decisions that go on in town. As Bruce said, there's, you know, Benita questioned 2 of them, there's at least 8 of them that in different committees, commissions that are out of town. I guess I would like to see the city council go ahead and form a motion and pursue charter amendment for section 4.4 Code F, or however that's supposed to be read, where it says each supervisor, each member of the city board or commission created by or pursuant to this charter shall have been a resident of the city for at least 1 year immediately prior to the day of his appointment, and shall be qualified and registered elector of the city on such day and throughout his tenure in the office. And we need to send it to our lawyer and see the proper language. I don't think the council is in a position to create the language. So we need to pursue that change and direct City Manager Brown to have our lawyer draw up language that would be acceptable, and then for us to take action on it. So I guess that's my 2 cents, so.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to agree with Tom. I think we need to do something with this, and by bringing it up to amend this, we're going to lose a lot of good people if we do something. Like Tom said, it's going to be the vote of the people if we do this or if we don't. And I think that's the way we should go. It should be up to the community. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Brad?
I had an opportunity to read through everything that was presented, and it puts us in somewhat of a conundrum in regards to when and where and how this all happens. So there's a lot of dates and issues kind of with timing related to this, but I think I look at it and I go, if you look at communities and government as it exists, it's getting smaller. And there's a certain amount of advantage to doing that. There's a big advantage to going outside the city and understanding that. If you look at the way larger corporations are doing business, they have board of directors that are actually pulled in from multiple companies, and a lot of different thought processes are involved in these boards, so that there isn't just one unique area or one unique group that has controlling interest over a committee. So as I read through it, it really kind of leads to the purpose of, you know, how do we go back and actually propose an amendment, and I would support that we look at that in relation to the charter. In relation to, I think, some of the questions that came up of maybe possibly what we do in the interim, I think that needs to be up for some additional discussion. I believe that in talking to the individuals that I know in the community, we lose some very good people as a result of this. And you know, you look back and granted, we're kind of stuck with the issue today. It's one that the city manager mentioned, that Bruce, that we have historically kind of been dealt this hand. So it's kind of our responsibility, call it, to clean it up and actually come up with some forward thought to where we go direction. So with that, yeah, I'm a proponent of taking it to the general election. You see what you determine.
We have been put in this position by the fact that we didn't have people in town who wanted to be on these boards. And these other people who were from Belding originally, some of them, you know, not all of them, but they did want to be on there, and they've served well. I believe that somebody that lives within the city should have first crack at it, but if we have a board position that's open, and there's nobody here who wants to do it, we've got somebody from outside of town that's willing to do it, what's our choice, you know? So we should get some definition on this, and see what we come up with. we should probably check with some other communities around and see if they're suffering the same problem. Because it may be this is not just a Belgian thing. There may be other smaller communities. You know, you get into the communities that are bigger than the almost 6,000 that we are and stuff, and you've got a bigger pool of people to choose from and stuff. And, but I know when I was down in Portland, they had a parts store down there and stuff. They were always trying to find somebody to get on boards and stuff. They had a lot of trouble with it. So at least know 2 towns, you know, that have the same problem. And I'm sure there's probably others out there, and we should find out how they handle it, what they're doing. You know, a little investigation into it. Because we want to do what's right for the city, you know, but we also have seats to fill. And, I'm done.
Thank you, Mike. I need a clarification. Tom, you had mentioned city council. We're talking boards of commissioners here. You had made a statement about the city council. I believe this part of it pertains to the boards of commissioners, not the city council. Am I correct?
If I said that, I misspoke myself. I was talking about the city boards and commissions, not council.
Okay, because you mentioned council, and that kind of, all right.
I
So
thought
you were talking about,
There's no question the city council
right,
has to be.
and I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. So, I think what has happened here over the years is we have not created this, but it's ended up in our lap. We have ended up with a situation that where past and previous council members have allowed these residents and non-residents to be on these boards. They, as Bruce said, you know, they felt the need to do that, or even for the lack of applications, and they're continuing to want to serve. Yes, we are at this point in time in default to the charter. There are different avenues that have been discussed. I think right now, what I look at, because I have attended a lot of these boards, committees, and different commissions since I've been on city council, is the simple fact that Planning Commission, I believe, is working on their pathway plan, and also I believe their master plan right now, the zoning ordinances. And Rec Board is working on their rec plan. We currently have no applications to even fill these positions. Bruce had mentioned the fact that there were 8 non-residents, which includes a large section of the museum board. And those are all volunteers that are mainly from out of town that sit on that. I believe it probably comprises at least 3/4 of their board or 2/3 of their board, depending on the numbers. I can't remember that. I believe it's 5. You know, this is put the city council in a position that, yes, as the charter does state, as Bruce mentioned, I agree that I agree that this needs to go to the people. This is a charter decision to make, a change, a charter change to make, and it needs to go, it has to go back to the people, it will. I had talked to Bruce earlier, or mid part of last week, or even earlier in the week, first part of last week, about setting up a board of 5 people, residents, to come up with this for the verbiage, get input. Tom right now at this point in time wants to make a motion on this to move this forward even faster than what I think that the board would take. My problem is without having the board in place, are we gonna have all the input from the people? I know there's several people here tonight, and I plan on opening this up here in the work session for public comment if the rest of the council members wish to do that. I really think that right now, with conditions and being the way it is, with everybody that's sitting on these boards, that it could devastate the community as a whole to ask these people to step down. And I guess that's the part that bothers me the most, is that there seem to be 2 people being singled out, but yet it affects 8 people. And that just blows my mind to think that it's come to this. Again, this is repeating itself in this town, and it just, you know, to me, we don't need this, the negative part of this. As a council, I think we all accept the fact that we have, you know, this has been given to us, and we acknowledge the fact, but to remove them from the board and have them all remove these 8 non-residents, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that we would devastate the community. I believe that if we move forward and do this in the proper way to not make hasty decisions. I was unable to attend the last council meeting, and according to the minutes, it was not discussed. So I guess I'd like to go around one more time. Doug, is there anything you'd like to add?
I've got something ahead. When the Board of Commission sends to the council the recommendations for us to vote on, you know, they must approve these people before it comes to us.
Sure.
And all we're doing is voting on their recommendation.
Correct.
And all these boards have recommended these people that don't live in the city. So I'm kind of confused why we have a gigantic problem with the grade. We're only doing what the boards have asked.
Correct. But until now, as I said, it hasn't been an issue. And now that it is an issue and it's been brought to our attention, we have to react to it and act to it.
Right, I understand that, and I'm kind of agreeing with Tom a little bit. We need to get this moving and get it wrapped up and get it taken care of. But, you know, the community is being involved and say yes or no. I agree.
Brad?
Yeah, I go back to just thinking about kind of our purpose and what we're all here for. And seems like there's times when we all try to do something to prove a point, whether it's we're right or that's the right direction to go, and it isn't necessarily in favor of where we all need to go directionally as a community. So as I look at this, and I agree with Ron to a degree that when you look at the individuals that would be displaced immediately if we were to make that, if and when we were to make that decision, there's a lot of good people that have a lot of great thought and ideas to the community that you'd really hate to lose because they've made an impact and they have stepped forward in the community and really tried to get us moving forward. I look at it and, you know, it's somewhat disheartening because you go to a smaller city or a smaller town and you look at the amount of people that want to get on a board, and there's a line and all these applications and people show a tremendous amount of interest. And there's a lot of different reasons maybe why we're not there that's related to our past. But I think when you truly look at it as us as a group, yourselves and ourselves, you know, do we really want to have these people gone, or do we want to go back and really look at some form of changing the charter so that we can do what's right for not only the community, but what's right for Beldy and what's right for all of us. So I look at it and it's like, yeah, we can say, okay, the charter says right now that we have to get rid of those individuals. I don't know, back to the overall topic, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to what we're doing. I think the people that are in those positions personally are doing a pretty darn good job, and they've stepped forward to help move Beldy in the right direction. So with that, I just, you know, again, it's disheartening that we're even in this position, that we have to go through this. I would say, again, we need to turn it back over to the people to make the overall, decision. But from my standpoint, I think we have to open our eyes.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, it's like Ron said, the library or the museum board has people on it from out of town. The historical commission had people on it from out of town. When I was on the library board, there was people from out of town on that because it's a community library, not just a city of Belding library. So we do need to work on this to get it figured out. And I think if we did just tell everybody, you're sorry, you're done, and we'd have 8 positions to fill and we couldn't get anybody, then what are we supposed to do? Go out and say, you're going to be on it because you wanted this? I don't want to rush into anything. I want it to be gone over and taking community comments and stuff. I mean, if somebody's got something, send it to City Hall so we can look at it. I understand the charter is the charter and we're supposed to go by it, but it's been so many years that it's went this way. And I mean, why did it start doing that in the first place? What happened to cause it? So that's it.
I'm not gonna give you an opportunity just yet. I have some questions because I got an idea where you're going. So, Bruce, when, in the table of events on how this would happen, a board versus a decision if the council, if we were to have a board, what would be the time frame versus what would be the time frame if the council makes this decision?
That's completely up to you. This is not going to require a great deal of study, and we know what the issue is. The question is, how do we verbalize what it is that we want to do? Tom suggested that we have our city attorney take that thought, and he knows our charter, and come up with language, and that could be done in a week. I would say that if you want citizen input on this, you would need, number one, to decide who should that be. There's no requirement in terms of the time that they meet or how they organize their meetings or whatever. It's completely silent in the home rule act. So you can set that. You can say we want the wording back in 2 weeks and we're going to appoint these people tonight, or we're going to appoint people in 2 weeks and be back to us in a month or a year or whatever. But it seems like we ought to get this thing resolved and move on with our life. And either one of those I'll certainly be supportive of and help as much as I can.
Can I say something possibly out of order?
Second. Election-wise, as far as going to the people, is it possible to meet the deadlines for November then?
The requirement, it has to go to the governor and to the attorney general. And there is a time frame in which they need to respond. It's like 30 days, I think, something like that. Here's the process. 3 of the 5 members of the city council can decide to go forward. The amendment in its final form is a resolution before the city council. So you don't have the amendment tonight, but it could be 2 weeks or a month or whatever from now. It can only contain one subject, and that's this section of the section 4.4F. The amendment must be submitted to the city clerk, or by the city clerk, to the governor and attorney general for review and approval. There is not a time frame in which they have to get it back to you, but generally, as I've talked to people, it's back within a week or 2 weeks.